Okay, Rotarians, today is a special meeting as we are joined by our district governor, Bill Durall. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the man to my right. Bill retired from the Air Force in 2009 after 37 years on active duty. During that time, Bill and his wife moved 21 times, serving in Europe, Asia, Canada, and all across the United States. Upon retirement, he joined the Pittsfield Rotary Club, which is now called the Rotary Club of Pike County. Since then, he has served as his club's president, foundation chair, assistant governor of Area 6 in our district, leader of the district visioning team, and now district governor. Outside Rotary, Bill has served as an associate instructor of psychology for John Wood Community College and a variety of volunteer activities, including the Pikeland Public Schools Foundation, the JW Community College Southeast Area Advisory Council, and the Community Foundation serving Northeast Missouri and West Central Illinois. So, as you heard, Bill is quite professionally accomplished, but I would also like to add that after meeting him at PETS this year, I can say that he is a kind and caring individual and exemplifies the meaning of service above self. It is with great pleasure I announce Bill Durall.
Thank you. As we say in the Air Force, carry on. I'll be in the area for a while. I'll get it, Lasanda. Is that good? That's probably even uglier than it was when I had only half a head showing, but that's okay. All right. Well, Gina, thank you. I appreciate the introduction, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet with your board a little earlier today. We had a good visit, and I think I hope that my remarks today will be relevant to your activities. I understand you had a very successful criterium. Figures still coming in, but it sounded like a great event. So congratulations to you for a successful criterium this year, and that's a great event for the community. I've got a couple of pitches that I want to make. I know you all are aware of our project in Zambia, where we have been helping subsistence farmers in Zambia improve their agricultural methods. We got an extension to that global grant this year. And this year we are helping the farmers mechanize their agricultural operations so that they can expand the acreage that they farm and hopefully help them improve their quality of life and that of their families. We got enough money with the global grant to buy a tractor, and Bob tells me it's being delivered today. So we're making progress along those lines. We had enough money to buy most of the implements, but we didn't think we had enough money to get the planter. And it seemed to me, why are we going to do all of this soil preparation stuff if you still got to go put the corn in the ground by hand? So we are raising money within the district to help supplement our global grant funds to buy a planter and to pay for a shelter that will house the equipment so it doesn't deteriorate right away there in Zambia. So if you would like to support that individually or as a club, we are raising those funds through our District 6460 Foundation. And if you want to just make your check out to the Rotary District 6460 Foundation and put Zambia Project in the notes line, that would be great. The second item I want to mention is that October, I think it's the 23rd, is World Polio Day. For the last several years within Rotary, we've always, we've had lots of pictures and people say we're this close to wiping out polio. But as we learned about a month ago, where we found a case of live polio right here in the United States in upstate New York, we might be this close, but we're not done yet. And as any of you know who've done a big project, you can make lots of progress until you get to the end, and then it takes an Herculean effort to get over the finish line. So that's where we are with polio. Last year, we had 17 clubs in the district out of 48 that did some sort of a fundraiser for polio elimination. And collectively, our district earned about $40,000 for polio, a little over $40,000. When you put that together with the 2-for-1 match that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation offers us, that was over $120,000 that went toward polio eradication. So that was a good effort. This year, I would ask every one of our clubs in the district to have some sort of a fundraiser to support polio eradication and support our Rotary Polio Plus efforts. So Gina, I'll kind of leave that in your hands. Several clubs did a Pints for Polio with a local bar or brewery. Some did Pints for Polio with a local ice cream place. Some did Bolio for polio or any number of different things. The Quincy Club did bourbon and popcorn for polio eradication. I still haven't quite figured out how bourbon and popcorn go together. However, it was very successful. And as a result of that, past District Governor Suzanne Ellerbrock and past District Governor Maura Donnelly went down, they drug their husbands down to Kentucky to go along the Bourbon Trail, and they purchased 2 barrels of bourbon. And that's been bottled up and they are selling it. We are selling it for $100 a bottle. It's cask strength, so it's about 10 proof more alcohol content than your normal bourbon. And I understand it's very good. I haven't opened my bottle yet, but I understand it's very good. So if any of you are bourbon aficionados, or you have somebody that you know that you'd like to give a nice gift to, the forms to order the bourbon are on our district website. So have at it. The third note I want to mention is that November 4th and 5th, we are having our district conference. It's generally at the end of September, or I'm sorry, the end of October, early November. This year, it's November 4th and 5th. And we are going to have our district conference at the Gateway Convention Center in Collinsville. So several of the clubs down here, when I mentioned that, they've said, finally, we're going to have something down here. We're close to us. And you're right. You know, that is correct. Let's see. Earlier this week, Tuesday of this week, I was in Chillicothe, which is up north of Peoria. And I mentioned where the conference was, and they all groaned at me. So it's November 4th and 5th. It should be a great event where you can learn a lot about Rotary, meet your fellow Rotarians, and celebrate all the good things that we got done in the last year or so. So I would appreciate it if all of you, or as many of you as possibly can, would join us over there November 4th and 5th at the Gateway Center. For those of you who absolutely can't, we are going to offer it as a hybrid event with some virtual parts of it. Okay, enough of my announcements. As I was talking to your board members, they suggested that in your post-COVID efforts to kind of get back to normal, you're still sort of trying to attract some of your members that before you had what would you say, about 60 or so? Yeah, but no, attending 70 to 80 per week, and now not so many. You are not alone in that. Almost every club in our district, and I think clubs all over the place, are still trying to recover from COVID. And so I've got some remarks today that are focused on that particular problem set, but are more applicable to broader activities. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But when I was doing my district governor training, which was all virtual, by the way, we didn't meet anybody, it was all via Zoom. There was a Rotarian from Australia named not Steve McQueen, Michael McQueen. Michael McQueen. He's a business consultant and looks at trends and things. He said something that has stuck with me. He said, in a post-COVID world, there's a corollary to Einstein's definition of insanity. As we emerge from COVID, it is equally insane for us to do the same things that we did before COVID and expect the same results now. When you put that together with the fact that many young people whom we would like to attract to become Rotarians are rejecting the membership model of participation, that creates a significant challenge for us to continue to be relevant and active in our efforts to serve our communities. So we need to do some things differently. And one of the things that we are doing differently this year is that for the first time in our 117-year history, we have a female Rotary International president. And ladies, you're welcome to applaud. In my view, we're overtime with that. Jennifer Jones is her name. They're on the banner. She is from Canada, Southern Canada, kind of in between Toronto and Detroit. And she is going to be, I think, a great Rotary International president. Not because she's a female, not in spite of the fact that she's a female, but because she's a great leader and she's got a really strong background in communications. And I think as we emerge from COVID, we kind of need that. One of the first things that she did that I think is good is that she gave us our annual theme for this year, which is Imagine Rotary. So it's wide open. And I'll touch on that a little bit later today. Traditionally, when district governors have talked to clubs, have do their club visits, they focus on two areas. One is membership. One is foundation giving. And those are two important aspects of our existence as Rotarians. But it's always struck me that those are derivative goals, right? There's always a so what or why. Why do we need more donations? Why do we need more members? I think that when Rotary did its strategic planning about 4 years ago, I think they came up with 4 strategic priorities that answer the why question about membership and donations. And that's what I'd like to share with you today. And then I've got a request that I want to make of each of you. The first of those goals, which I think are not only applicable to Rotary International, but also to zones and districts and clubs where the real work of Rotary gets done at the club level. The first of those strategic goals is how can we increase our impact? How can we increase our impact? I believe that as people of goodwill who buy into the motto of service above self, that's the question that all of us think about when we're doing some service project for our communities. So that, I think, is the foundational question that we need to ask ourselves as Rotarians and involved members of the community. How can we increase our impact? The second one is how can we expand our reach? Now, membership is one of those areas for sure, but I think the focus on membership by itself is a little narrow. The question in my mind is how can we get more people in our community involved with our mission of service to others, whether they can be members or not, right? In the board meeting, I talked about the young professional couple, for example, that's trying to fit 120 hours worth of activity into their 168-hour week. Time is their most precious commodity. So if we go to those folks and say, hey, would you come and join us in Rotary? Chances are they're going to give us a 2,000-mile stare and say, are you nuts? I can't keep up with my 3 kids and their activities and everything else we're doing. There's no way I could join Rotary. And that may be true right now. But maybe if we had a family-friendly service activity to clean up a park or something and have them invite their kids to come along and join us in a worthwhile service project, maybe do a little social afterwards, maybe we could get them on a list of people that would be willing to help us with our projects. And after a while, they might think, hey, this is a pretty good group, we'll join, okay? So increase our impact, expand our reach. There are other ways to expand our reach. And that kind of brings me to the third point, is enhance participant engagement. We need to make sure that if we're going to do something, it's worthwhile for the participants. So how do we do that? I think more emphasis on service, perhaps less emphasis on meetings, ways to reach out to people that can't meet on Thursdays at noon, right? So there are options for satellite clubs, cause-based clubs, interest-based clubs, community-based Rotaract clubs. Any number of those potential options are ways that we can maybe reach more people, right? Quincy right now is trying to start a second club. I think their goal is to meet only once a week with service projects the rest of the month and their activities. There are clubs now that only meet a couple of times a month. And maybe, did I say they meet once a week? I mean, once a month. That's what I mean. Okay, so those are all ways that we can sort of expand our reach and get folks involved in activities that are relevant to them, that are important to them. The fourth strategic priority that RI outlined is a little different, but I think it's equally important. And that is, how can we increase our ability to adapt? In the Air Force, we used to have a popular saying, flexibility is the key to air power. And I'm not going to explain that right now. If any of you want to talk about that, I'll be happy to talk to you about it. But while we have a very rich 117-year history with Rotary, lots of wonderful accomplishments. You know, we've made a lot of progress with the other organizations involved with polio eradication. We've made enormous progress with that. The other side of that coin, though, is that we have 117 years worth of traditions that can serve as a boat anchor in terms of our ability to think creatively, right? So while I stand up here, perhaps ironically, inappropriately, as your district governor, now that we have a female Rotary International president, and I stand here as the pale male stale Bubba within our district, we all need to think about how we can maybe be true to some of our traditions, but not be afraid to move into some new directions. And we have to have a tent that's big enough to include, what'd you say, Gina? Got big, deep pockets. Oh, yeah, yeah. Old men with deep pockets, you know, we have to be able to include them, but we also have to be able to include the young folks whose pockets aren't so deep, but maybe they've got a little bit of time, but they have lots of energy. Okay, we got to figure out how to be fair to all concerned and be beneficial to all concerned. Okay, so how can we increase our ability to adapt? In my mind, those 4 priorities really serve as a foundation for us to try to emerge from COVID. First, how can we increase our impact? What are some things we can do to expand our reach, to enhance participant engagement? And how can we have the courage to be adaptable and try some new things? I'm also reminded as I close here that Rotary is a radically volunteer organization, okay? There are a few people up at Evanston, Illinois that get paid some money to do Rotary stuff. The rest of us are all volunteers. So we can't depend on our leaders alone to come up with good ideas. And that's where I'm going to make a request to each and every one of you, including our guests, by the way. Put your thinking caps on. You're here once a month, right? The rest of the time you're out, or once a week. You're here once a week, 4 times a month. I got to get my weeks and my months straight. Okay, so you're here once a week. So the other 167 hours you have in your week are out in the community doing stuff. I'd ask you to put your thinking caps on and think about Rotary as you're out in the community. Maybe there's some underserved group that could use some help. Maybe there's an opportunity for a fundraiser that we haven't thought about before. Maybe there's an opportunity to cooperate with other clubs, other service organizations, churches, what have you, to expand our reach and increase our impact, right? I have always been a firm believer that collaboration and cooperation are much stronger ways to operate than competition. So as I close, I would ask each and every one of you to put your thinking caps on and think, okay, what are some things, maybe what are some new things that we could do? What are some of the things that we've done in the past that maybe we could do differently to help us increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and be adaptable? So with that, I'll shut up. Thank you. And I'd be happy to take a couple of questions or comments or ideas or whatever. But thank you very much. Any brave Rotarians that want to ask a question? No? No spring butts, as we called them in the Air Force? You know, at the end of every presentation, you always got to have at least one person. Oh, John. Okay, go, John.
Okay, I have a question. When we meet down in Collinsville, and I hope a lot of us will be there for the district conference in Collinsville, you said the 4th and the 5th of November.
4th and 5th of November. It's a Friday afternoon, Saturday morning.
It's easy for us to get there, but I hope we can share ideas about how we can do these things that you're asking. I think the things you're asking are important and we'll carry Rotary forward and make it greater, but we've got to work with other clubs and have that happen. So I hope there's going to be a chance down in Collinsville for us to share with other clubs the ideas they have.
Did you sit in on our Zoom meeting last night? You didn't, but that's a good lead in. We are going to do some of that. We are thinking about doing some like speed dating sessions where we have a topic to discuss and get Rotarians to discuss it. I'll give you one example of an idea. In Galva, way up at the other end of our district, our club president up there wants to work with the Kiwani Life Skills Development Center that trains, I don't remember what they call them, but they're convicts who are getting ready to be released back to the community. They want to get involved from a Rotary perspective in helping them not only to learn skills like carpentry and welding and so forth, but also help them to learn about service to others, the four-way test, and how to get back into the community with maybe a little bit different perspective. So Monday, I'm going to go up to Galva. Neil Miller and I are going to meet with Mike Massey, who's their club president up there. We're going to meet with the warden at that Kiwani facility to talk to her about how we might get Rotary involved with that group of people. Now, in my mind, that is a great creative idea because that gets us involved with Rotary, with a group of people that we normally have not, at least in my Rotary experience, we haven't been involved with. So there are lots of opportunities around. We just kind of think about them and put Rotary with those ideas. But yeah, we're gonna try to do that. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else?
Bill,
No? All right.
our Rotary Club is pledging $250 to your tractor plan.
The tractor pull? Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Individual donations to put with our check that I'm going to send to the Rotary District 6460.
Bill Smith. Yep. So thank you all very much.